After a successful year, D'Amico Catering will continue to run the clubhouse at Brooklyn Park's Edinburgh USA Golf Course. City officials voted to accept D'Amico's 2024 business plan earlier this week. D'Amico Catering presented its business plan for the coming year to the city's Economic Development Authority. Officials from D'Amico say revenue at the restaurant was up 4% over last year. That's partly thanks to an updated menu. However, the Brooklyn Park EDA, which owns the clubhouse, encouraged D'Amico to make the facility and clubhouse more accessible to the surrounding community.
Nigerian, Liberian, many communities love to come to Brooklyn Park to have their weddings and their events. But if they can't get access to foods or even just a palette, some type of flavor palette that works with what they're accustomed to, they're going to move it somewhere else.
Some of the D'Amico's strategies for growth next year include working with local community groups and high school teams. A Crystal girl with a rare autoimmune condition got to meet a rising star on the Vikings roster and the national stage. Kevin Miller has more on the family's lasting connection with Josh Dobbs.
Push the intercom on the gate to be like, "Hi, Kira Johnson and family are here," and they're like, "We're expecting you," and the giant gate opens and we're the only car in the parking lot. It's really surreal.
Days later, the Johnson family is still processing what happened.
It's still hard to think of people texting, calling us, just freaking out, like, yeah, it still hasn't really hit yet that we did that.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime trip that most Vikings fans can only dream about.
We're walking by and like, oh, smile and nod like, "Oh, hi, Justin Jefferson."
The trip to the Vikings training facility lasted less than a day.
They had these backpacks all set up for them in the auditorium.
But for this family, the journey started much earlier. CCX viewers met twins Ava and Kira back in August.
You guys at CCX did our story about our walk for alopecia.
My son.
Kira was diagnosed with alopecia 4 years ago.
Her body just thinks that her hair follicles are the bad guys, and her immune system attacks her hair follicles, and then it causes her hair to fall out.
It's a story that's familiar to new Vikings quarterback Josh Dobbs.
We've been following him because he has alopecia, and he's been a big advocate for alopecia for quite a while.
The Vikings invited the family to the training facility last Saturday.
Be able to relate to what Kira's going through with such visible differences was so helpful, and he was so sweet.
Kira brought Dobbs, who's also an aerospace engineer, drawings of the planets.
Kira's wondering what his favorite planet was, and it's Saturn, just like hers. They did their names on them.
And the team gave the girls backpacks filled with hats, custom jerseys, and
Right here.
signed footballs.
He was a nice guy.
Kira came back with something a little extra. Inspiration.
Just encouraging to have people that have such a large platform be so open about visible differences. It's just awesome.
In Crystal, Kevin Miller, CCX News.
A Plymouth nonprofit is launching their annual campaign that highlights homelessness and poverty in the suburbs. It looks much different in the suburbs than it does in the inner city. Reporter Shannon Slatton sat down with Interfaith Outreach Executive Director Kevin Ward to talk about why.
The Sleep Out is in its 28th year. 28 years we've been creating awareness in the community about families who are really struggling. You know, it started out, we were sleeping out in cardboard boxes and talking about homelessness. But what we've learned is it shows up very differently here in the suburbs. You take Minneapolis for an example, it shows up more in kind of the encampments or people sleeping in tents. Here it shows up in their everyday budget. And we just want to highlight, for example, there's about 2,500 families or households in our community that are living at that 200% below poverty. And that's a family of 4 making $60,000 a year. And that budget doesn't work because 63% of that is going towards housing costs. It's not sustainable. So our Sleep Out is bringing awareness to those basic needs and ongoing stability for those families who are specifically living in the suburbs.
Can you give us just a snippet of all the different ways Interfaith Outreach comes around those families to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. We start off with our food shelf. People can come to our food shelf to really help that budget work. They can take those funds instead of buying food and use them for utility costs. We also help out with transportation. We have employment services, mental health. We also work with early child care and early childhood education. And so those are just a few of the things that we're passionate about and that families come to us where we can support them, as well as rent and utilities.
All right. Now, if someone is interested in helping out in the Sleep Out or just with Interfaith Outreach, what should they do?
Well, first, if they want to host their own sleep out or sleep in, feel free to do that and maybe create some awareness around that with your family and friends. You can also volunteer. We're always looking for volunteers to come and help in our work, in our mission. And then thirdly is contribute financially.
All right. And if you're interested in volunteering, you can do that as well.
Absolutely. And volunteering can show up a lot of different ways, from our food shelf to our resale store, to working with clients. There's just a number of ways that you can volunteer and get involved.
All right. So go to your website to find out more.
Yeah, it's www.iocp.org/sleepout2023.
All right. Lots to learn there. Kevin Ward, Executive Director of Interfaith Outreach and Community Partners. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Minnesota is now one step closer to having a new state flag. After receiving more than 2,000 submissions, the State Emblems Redesign Commission narrowed down the list this week to 6 finalists. Each of the 6 flag designs feature hues of blue and white and incorporate a version of the North Star. State lawmakers, including Mike Freiberg of Golden Valley, pushed for a new design, calling the current version outdated and offensive. The commission will select the final design along with a design for a new state seal sometime in December.
The Hopkins gymnastics team had a banner season last year. The Royals finished 6th at the state Class 2A meet. As Chaz Moose reports, Hopkins wants to carry last year's momentum into the season.
Last year, the bar was set high for the Hopkins gymnastics team. The Royals won the Section 6 AA title, took home the Lakes Conference Championship, and advanced to the state meet as a team for the first time since 2008.
Honestly, it was like so much fun. Like our whole year, we were just leading up to that moment, and like we were just hoping that it would all come together at the end, and like all of our hard work really was put in the gym and show.
The year before that, it was like dry. It was very still. So I was like, okay, there's not a lot of excitement in this, but like last year, it was so fun.
The Royals returned back two of their top gymnasts from last year in Annabelle Spears and Naya Samore Britt, but there is still a lot of turnover and change from a season ago.
We have 7 returning and then 11 new. So it's the first time probably we've ever had more new girls than returning girls in a season. So it's kind of fun because it's a whole different team, new dynamics, new atmosphere.
There are still some of us that are still on the team. There's a good chunk of us that like we can still bring it and show like the new kids, just be confident.
Hopkins is still blending that old with the new, but the groundwork was set last year, and the Royals are hoping to use that success as more motivation leading into this year.
Just to see all of our hard work pay off, like it just makes me want to keep going and makes everyone want to keep going together. With the first couple of days in the gym, like I'm already like so confident and like so excited to be with these girls. Like it's just our teamwork ethic is already there, and so I'm excited for this year, and I think it's going to be really good.
I think that motivates us a lot. The girls look at the posters in the gym every day. They see our state poster over there, and so I think that motivates them. You know, they want to work hard to get back there. You know, just building on the momentum of last year and trying to get new skills so we can continue to be competitive.
In Hopkins, Chaz Moots, CCX Sports.
The puck drops this weekend for 2 of the area's best boys hockey teams. As Jay Wilcox reports, the Wayzata boys hope it's the start of a good season.
They're gearing up for a favorite early season event. The Wayzata boys hockey team hosts the CCX Turkey Trot Tournament Friday and Saturday at Plymouth Ice Center, with Maple Grove, Moorhead, and Edina also in action.
It's awesome. I think last year was my first experience, but just having a crowd here that's standing room only, it's really fun experience to experience with your guys too. Just going through the week of Thanksgiving, you got tryouts leading up to it. We'll get a breakfast Friday morning. Just a fun bonding experience for the team.
Oh, we love it. We live for it. So the first week's amazing. I mean, we got everything, tryouts, teams come out, we get to Thanksgiving with the families, and then everyone's there for the turkey trot. It means a lot to all of us.
Everyone's excited about the matchups, and so it's became where it's standing room only, which is great for our kids and for their kids, and great way for them to get out and on the ice in front of a bunch of people and get the nerves out of the way early and kind of do some evaluations.
It's an experienced group for Wayzata with 12 seniors on the varsity roster for the weekend. That has them feeling good about this season.
We're deep, we're competitive. I think it's going to be a fun year led by a big senior class. I think we have 12 seniors this year. I think we got a lot of returning firepower.
I think things have been really good. We've been really competitive. We have an older team, obviously, but the young guys have been competing for like that last spot and everything. So I think the team's turned out good.
We return 7 or 8 forwards and we return 5D. So it's going to be fun to start, and we'll have some young guys come into the mix. And guys as they get older and become seniors have played for a while, just putting them in the consistent roles and putting a little bit more pressure on them to have more expectations for themselves. And we'll be. If I were to give one word, it'd be deep. I think we're a very deep team.
The Trojans will be new in goal after graduating one of the state's best netminders in Will Ingeman. They fell just short of the state tournament last year, losing in the Section 6AA final to Edina. There's motivation to end this season at the XL Center. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.